Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers, a hot show on tap today, and he's got the rundown.
Sam, politics, budget cuts, and the Board of Regents are just a few of the topics that we'll take up this morning with Assemblyman Lynn Hettrick, Minority Leader of the Assembly. Sam?
And coming up on the pundit panel, Larry Matheis, Ray Bacon, and Martha Gould. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
The Aboud family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Catch a straight, dine at 8. Lucky you. Lucky you. Dance till 1. Have some fun. Lucky you. Lucky you. Taste the shrimp. Have a sip. Try the pool. Play it cool. At the Sienna Hotel Spa Casino. Lucky you.
In business, the key to success is not the quantity of your clients, it's the quality of your clients. Almost all companies will tell you they want more sales, but what they really need are quality customers who pay their bills on time. With Employer Link's client and vendor screening program, we provide comprehensive reports regarding the financial performance of your corporate prospects, customers, and vendors. Build your business with great clients and vendors. Call Employer Links today at 883-3733.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, Lynn Hettrick joins us, a regular during the session. It's good to have you back here. He's the Assembly Minority Leader, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Lynn, for being here.
My pleasure.
During the interim, lawmakers are supposed to go home. But we know that there's now a secretary in the Democratic leadership offices working for Richard Perkins, etc. What else is going on over at the legislature during this interim? I hear rumors that the clerk may be replaced.
Well, Jackie Snedden, the chief clerk, is leaving. I don't know all of the circumstances of why, but I know she's leaving and she's going to be replaced. My understanding is that Speaker Perkins is interviewing potential candidates and is going to choose a new chief clerk.
But isn't that usually done with a bipartisan committee made up of both Republicans and Democrats?
I think that makes sense. I think it might be a policy and not a requirement, but I've not been invited to participate in any of the interviews or the selection process.
If Richard hires the chief clerk, which oversees all the activity on the assembly floor and the bills and everything, and the Republicans take over the assembly and you become speaker, will you keep on this new clerk?
It's a wonderful if. And I would have to meet the clerk. I would go by qualifications. If the clerk is truly qualified and capable of running the process, then probably would, because we'd be in November with only 90 days until the start of the session. I think it would be very difficult at that point to find a new chief clerk, make sure they were qualified, get them in place, have staff they liked, and so on to make the process go. So I would say we would probably keep the chief clerk.
Okay, you're good at math. What are the chances of you ending up being speaker?
Today, better than 50-50. It'll depend a little on what what goes on down the stretch here, but clearly some of the things that have gone on in Las Vegas, some of the double dipping issues, Hatch Act issues, those kinds of things. And then, I mean, quite frankly, when you look back at the tax increase, which is massive, and people are just starting to figure out what it's going to cost them. And as they do that, they're not going to be happy. We didn't address med-mal, in my opinion, in a way that solved the problem, and I think we still have a doctor shortage that's going to go on, and I think rates are going to go up. We saw another insurance company, a major one, leave Nevada just recently. So that's not clearing itself out. And education still, in the last testing we saw, is poor in Nevada. We've got to do better than we're doing, and we've had, you can argue back to 1985 since we had a Republican-controlled assembly, and maybe could do some things that would turn the scales back the other way. You know, politics is like a pendulum. It always swings back and forth and back and forth, and I think it's swinging back toward the Republicans.
Okay, Governor says no new taxes are going to come from him. I'm sure that makes you very happy.
Well, it makes me very happy, but I have to see it. We got $200 million of one-shot money put into this budget. We're spending $811 million, and when we get to the end of this cycle, things have looked pretty good recently. The reports have been pretty good in terms of economy and taxes and all the rest. But the reality is, when we get to the end of this cycle and the governor is obligated by the Constitution to provide a balanced budget the day we open the legislature, for actually 2 weeks in advance. And for him to do that, if we don't have $200 million generated in extra revenue by the time he has to propose that budget, somebody's going to have to give something.
Perry Como said that the actual budget deficit at this point looked like more like about $100 million. The governor said on this program that if there was a shortfall, there would be massive cuts. Do you anticipate massive cuts?
Well, again, I don't know the numbers as well as Perry Como does because he sees them daily. I am hopeful he's right. It just interests me that why couldn't we cut in the last session when we knew we were building in $200 million of one-shot money and we were betting on the economy doing well? Why couldn't we cut then? But we can cut now. It's okay to cut next time, but we couldn't cut then when we were trying to impose taxes. Didn't make sense to me, still doesn't. Why would you put yourself in that black hole?
Well, you know, I was just down in Las Vegas for the last 5 days, and the state bird in Las Vegas is apparently the crane, because there are cranes everywhere. Business is looking optimistically good in Las Vegas. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Lynn Hettrick after this timeout.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, voted Reno's best buffet by locals year after year. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch. Atlantis.
Would you like to savor a Trento pork chop? Or maybe pasta rags with grilled chicken? Hugo's Tuscan Grill at D'Andrea is a celebration of color, flavor, and freshness. Each dish is created from natural, wholesome foods that is delicious and nutritious. Hugo's is a comfortable restaurant with breathtaking city views. If you enjoy great food and good company, visit us here at Hugo's. It's the best that dining can be. 2900 South D'Andrea Parkway in Sparks.
Welcome to Sushi Club, best sushi in town. The Sushi Club in Independence Square uses the best quality products. The sushi is dynamite, and the service is just wonderful.
The Sushi Club is bigger and better. We have 11 sushi chefs on staff, and the service is great.
All your friends will tell you that Sushi Club is the best place for the best sushi.
Come join us for lunch or dinner.
The Sushi Club, 294 East Moana Lane in the Independence Square.
Now that's great sushi.
To experience the royal cuisine of India, you need some serious magic or simply transport yourself to India Garden, right here in Reno, where you'll discover Indian specialties refined over centuries. Sikh kebab, tandoori dishes cooked in our own tandoor oven, biryani specialties, curries, fresh-baked Indian bread, over a dozen vegetarian dishes, even dishes rare to India like dosa, South Indian-style crepes. India Garden off South Virginia near Sports West. We are India.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And now back with the minority leader, hoping to be the majority leader at some point, Lynn Hettrick.
During the last session, Lynn, I know that you kept predicting that welfare was going to be dropping what we call TANF, T-A-N-F in this state.
Right.
And it turned out you were right, and we have far more money there, but we shorted child care for people who were trying to get off welfare and start working and so forth. Is there a possibility of shifting some funds?
There are legalities involved in whether or not we can do that, and that would be up to our legal staff to tell us whether, as interim finance committee, we can actually shift funding from TANF over to child care. I don't know if we can or cannot. If it's within the same budget, we may be able to do that, and yes, it would make sense. And yes, we predicted when they said there would be 43,000 cases, we predicted 33 and then less, and no one would listen. And the last I heard, it was down to 27,000 cases. So, it's too bad we did that, but.
Let's talk about the relationship of leadership, and this applies not just to the Assembly and our Senate, but it applies to Congress too. I know that when Lyndon Johnson was Majority Leader of the Senate in Washington, D.C., he worked very closely with the Republicans. Have we seen the Democratic leadership in our Assembly work closely with the Republican Party, and what will you do if you are the Majority Leader?
Well, I have to say I had a tremendous relationship with the Democrat leader when he was there, the Speaker, Joe Dini. He and I got along very, very well, and I felt that he bent over backwards to try to make things fair and even-handed. And if you had the votes to move a bill, you got to move your bill, that type of thing. I've seen that slip a little bit. I think we've become more like Washington, D.C. I hate to see that because it's become who can do the soundbite, who can run out and say, the 10-second spot that'll hit TV or make it to the press, to the paper, and try to make the other guy look bad instead of trying to solve the problem or move the pile forward. And I think that's wrong. I would hope, and I would certainly be my intent if we take over control, to go in there with the feeling that if you have the votes, you get to move your bill. If you have questions or need help, it should be done fairly and even-handedly. So I would hope we could move back to the relationship we saw when Joe Dini was there.
And the rest of your caucus feel the same way?
No, I have people in my caucus who are quite angry, who haven't had bills moved for 2 or 3 sessions. It's each party has people who are seen as extremists within their party. We tend to have ours mostly to the right. They tend to have theirs mostly to the left. A lot of those people, when you see the Democrats in power, they see the extremist right people, the more extreme right people, as somebody that they want to somehow punish for having their own view and their own opinion. And I think that's wrong, and I don't want us to do it. I hope we don't do it. But I've got people who say, we've been treated like this now for a decade, and it's time to get even if we come in there and control. I don't agree with that.
All right, so let me ask you this. We have plenty of time before the next session. What efforts are you and your caucus making to see that this doesn't happen in the future? Are you taking steps across the aisle to, build bridges?
It's pretty hard to do because you don't know who's going to be in control of what. I mean, that's the one thing we have in this election cycle is clearly it looks like it's up in the air. And it'll be very difficult to establish something when people may or may not be there when you get to that point. Mr. Perkins and I have a great relationship. He met with me weekly. He is a friendly man, and I like him a lot. I just think that the overall level has slipped, and he hasn't pressed it back to where it was before, and I think that's unfortunate, and it's made some of our people obviously unhappy.
I want to quickly bring up the Board of Regents and the university system. And while most of this has taken place in Southern Nevada, of course, affects the entire state, but there are allegations that the Board of Regents apparently violated the open meeting law in 5 or 6 different ways and held a secret meeting and talked about people and fired them without them even being in the room or given a chance to. Is Chris's bill to appoint the Board of Regents going to gain some power, do you think, next time? And where are the checks and balances on this Board of Regents?
Well, I mean, that's a very good question. I think perhaps you saw Senator Bob Coffin's letter saying, you know, pretty much what we do is fund your budget and you go off on and do whatever you want. And that's been pretty much okay in the past. But all of a sudden, as you point out, it looks like this time there were some things done that were questionable in terms of open meeting law and personnel meetings and things like that. You know, I don't know whether it'll gain some momentum or not. People generally like to elect people that they see controlling large budgets and feel like they have some say in the process. And I think the appointment process feels like it goes away. So I don't know whether it'll gain or not. I mean, I certainly would look at it on the merits. I think there are some good reasons why appointees might be better than electees. But
what about shortening their terms of office?
I think that might make some sense, and also I'm not sure we weren't better off with it smaller, with fewer people there. It seems to me now that it's unwieldy almost.
13 people.
It's very big.
Yeah.
Would you like to see them open things back up again and perhaps take another look at the votes they made? I mean, it looks to me like the university system and community college system is in a revolution right now, that the campuses are just going crazy.
I think it would suit it would suit them well if they went back and reviewed everything in a very public way. If they had good reasons, then they should have no problem in going into a public meeting, sitting down and saying, we did this because of this, this, and this. Now, they'll have to be very careful not to violate personnel laws because there are some privacy requirements. But the public has a right to know to some degree.
You know what? Privacy and personnel records should at least include the person being fired.
I would think. The opportunity
At what
to speak.
point you have to look at these things and go, at what point does this become ridiculous that you have a star chamber, as it were, and the two people being discussed and eventually being removed from their positions?
Well, not only that, but they
don't even get a hearing.
But they have the right to have it open if they want it open. They not only have the right to be there, they have the right to say, I want this open.
Okay, we've got to finish up on the topic here.
Yeah.
President Bush in Nevada.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, you know, I found it very interesting. I went through a bunch of emails yesterday.
Was it not perfect, though? Was it not perfect? I mean, you know, for the turnaround on Yucca Mountain and the way the state has been treated at this point, I mean, wasn't that just perfect for him to come here and just cement the relationship with the Silver State?
Yeah, what about his staff?
You mean in terms of saying Nevada?
Yes, right. Can
well,
staff teach him how to say the state's name?
I said when I was interviewed by the paper, I think the message was more important than the delivery. And indeed, I got multiple emails that said,
I want your money.
Well, yeah, multiple emails. He got a lot of it. And, but I got multiple emails saying if you check the dictionary, correct pronunciation is both ways. And it is not inappropriate to say it as Nevada, although you and I and all of us who live here know that it's Nevada.
You know, back there, you know, it may be appropriate to say it that way, but here,
yes.
I'm sorry,
but you know
we
what?
have a statute with the pronunciation in it. We have a state law.
What was the message, though? What was the message President Bush gave us?
Well, I mean, clearly, I think Andy said it. He was here for a fundraiser. He was making a message.
That was
to
the message. Lynn Hettrick, thank you. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Before you head to Carson, take care of yourself with a visit to Tamarack Junction. Catch a hot cup of coffee and the morning news on one of our 32 TVs and enjoy the best food in South Reno. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
The Aboud family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Your home is an expression of all things comforting and familiar. For custom storage, you can count on California Closets to provide quality, value, and design integrity. The process is easy, combining your personal style with our organizing expertise. We care about what matters most to you, making your home functional and beautiful. California Closets, simplifying home and life since 1978. Call today for your complimentary design consultation.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Make your daily commute easy with breakfast or lunch at the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy daily specials, super fast service, and South Reno's freshest morning meals. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, always interesting to talk to Lynn Hettrick.
Oh, it is, and he's interesting to hear.
Ray Bacon joins us on the Pundit panel today with the Nevada Manufacturers Association. We have Martha Gould here, and Larry Matheis, who's the Executive Director of the State Board of Medical Examination.
Examiners. You had too much giving thanks. So that's what, give him a day off, he goes to pieces.
All right. So Ray, what are the chances of the Assembly turning Republican, do you think? Do you agree with
I agree with Hettrick.
Assemblyman?
I think it's a little bit better than 50-50, and so much depends upon what plays out in Southern Nevada and how long this stuff continues to feed on itself.
You mean all the scandals?
The scandal thing, the double dipping thing,
the public employees,
the public employee issue, and what Wendell does. I mean, at this stage of the game, typically when somebody gets in political trouble, they just kind of take the bullet and go away peacefully. Wendell has done his best to try and injure everybody else in the process.
Well, word is that he's going to be fired this week.
Today.
Isn't that a little late?
If not today, and he has said if he goes, he's taking everybody he can with him.
Yeah, and that will mean that typically it'll get pretty ugly, and it'll stay ugly for months, and so consequently.
Larry, you're nodding. You want to jump in here?
I think I think that for Lynn Hettrick, I think it's certainly looking up, and I think it's much better than 50-50 right now. The situation in Clark County, it's almost a free fall. It's primarily affecting Democratic legislators, Democratic county commissioners, and it's not really a partisan issue, but it just so happens that they're the ones in the fulcrum. You've got the FBI investigations, and eventually a federal court is going to be looking at the activities of the county commission. All of this is merging in the public's mind, and I would think it also merges in the mind of potential Democratic voters. And I think that one of the things we may see is that as raucous as the Republicans have been in their self-immolation over the last year about the tax issues and other things, that energizes a base to come out and elect the kind of people that they're most comfortable with. The kinds of scandals and activities that are going on discouraged the kind of grassroots Democrats from coming out. So I think things can certainly change, but right now it looks
but Martha,
like a big
the culinary union is not going to sleep, though. They have thousands and thousands of people under the union banner in Las Vegas. Are they not going to get themselves organized and fight back here?
Well, I would certainly hope so. I think one of the problems we're facing, and I think this is a very sad situation, the scandals in Clark County are going to have a very negative impact on, I think, anyone wanting to run for public office, whether they are a Democrat or a Republican. What we will see will be people running for office on single issues. And I think that perhaps is the greatest danger, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican. I still think it's going to be a 50-50. I think, Ande, you talked about the perfect storm. Well, the wave hasn't hit yet. But the biggest issue I think we have to face is twofold. Finding good people who are willing to put themselves into the public arena and run for office. The difficulty of raising money, unless you do represent a special interest. And sadly, the fact that oh dear, I'm a Democrat and I'm going to have to say it anyhow, there is a definite lack of leadership, with one, I think, very interesting exception. And this is someone for whom I have great respect and admiration, and that's Barbara Buckley.
But let's kind of talk a little bit about that.
And she was a Speaker Pro Tem.
Yep. Okay. Even if we wind up, in fact, maybe that's really what we need this session, is to wind up with the 21-21 tie. If you go back to that session, The rules for that session was that both the leaders of both parties for every committee had to agree on a bill before it moved.
And
so consequently
Lynn Hettrick and Joe Dini worked very closely together.
But that immediately took all the extreme stuff on both ends and took it off the table. If you dissect it, that was a very productive session. The things that got done were things that needed to be done.
Even Pete Arnott, who was majority leader for the Republicans at that time, says that he thinks that was one of the best sessions of the legislature.
But it was not a session facing a budget crisis, facing shortfalls in revenues, that working out these difficult kinds of issues. It's one thing to not be able to pass the issue of the day. It's another thing not to be able to pass your constitutional requirement.
Well, but I strongly suspect that even if you'd had the 50-50 split with the issues that are going to be facing this next time, I still think you wind up with a much better ability to work through things than you did when somebody tries to use the hammer approach. It just didn't fly last time. It'll fly less next time.
Let me throw this out. We've got about 30 seconds left here.
And you didn't let me
speak. Does this end up, well, I'll start with you then. Does this end up strengthening the North's power in the legislature because of the fact that we're going to have all these newly elected folks down south, or potentially?
No. Unfortunately, and it really is unfortunately, because we'll have new people from the South in the legislature who do not carry an institutional history. Nor do they care.
No, I think what he's talking about is leadership. Would the leadership more come from the North if Republicans were elected?
The legislature is a playground, and every playground needs an adult supervision.
And we'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Oh, good point.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, voted Reno's best buffet by locals year after year. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch. Atlantis.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
And coming up tomorrow,
Harold Holder Sr.
And he's the head of the Holder Hospitality Group. They own the Silva Club and also KPTL Radio.
Right.
Which I love because they have Imus on there.
Thank you for watching.
Take care. Bye-bye.